What's going on, Wealthy Legacy Journeyers? Welcome back to the Wealthy Legacy Journey. I'm super excited to be talking to you guys today. And the title of today's episode is Decide Wisely and Execute Quickly. And that's really been a theme that we've been experiencing over the last couple months as we've been building Ambition X real estate brokerage, but especially over the last few weeks, as it's immediately once you finish one thing, you put two more on your plate. You want to build at a rate in order to create profitability as fast as possible. But you also want to make sure that you don't build something that you're going to immediately just scale right back out of. And it's been a really interesting balance as we've had essentially, we've had this momentum already coming off of the wave. One of the things that I think I've been most excited about with the brokerage, and I've seen so much power, is in that personal brand. And so, being tied to Nathan Bowers and his personal brand inside of the real estate world has given the brokerage just so much immediate authority. I've built a lot of the back end process, and honestly, I take care of a lot of the sales process. But being able to hook people immediately with the momentum of Nathan's personal brand, and really, I think the testimony that he's able to give has been huge for the brokerage and just giving it immediate wind in its sails. And I don't want to let the momentum stop there. Some of the next projects that we're going to be working on is as our newer agents hit their 1 month mark, or they hit big milestones, I want to immediately start getting testimonial videos and then pushing those out there in order to let the world see the success that we're helping agents to build here at Ambition X Real Estate Brokerage, and get other agents excited about being a part of that momentum. And so really, at first it's leveraging Nathan's personal brand and success, and then it's going to be like going in and all of these other agents, helping them to build that personal brand, that personal success story, and being able to launch that out into the world in the form of testimonies. But we're moving quickly. With that, we've started this whole lead campaign to on any of our listings that we have that we're putting out there. We're wanting to bring in more buyers leads to work. We've got bilingual agents coming in the door. So many different moving parts. And so, every step of the way has been, how do we execute quickly? But then I'm on the same time, like, I'm always thinking, how does the decision that I make right now affect me, in 10 moves, if I was looking at like a chess game? And so it's just been a really healthy balance. One of the things that I've been surprised by is the healthy balance that a business partnership can bring to the table. Not just counsel in a business, but really a partnership dynamic where, I'll be honest, one of the things that Nathan's better at than I am is immediate execution. But I think on the other hand, Nathan would say one of the things that I'm better at is, really building that structure out that is a scalable type model. And so he pushes me to make decisions quicker. But then on the other side, I counter that by trying to say, well, how do we make this decision quickly, but in a way that's going to be scalable, that we're really making wise decisions. We want to execute those quickly, but make a decision that's going to be able to last in the longer term, right? We might have to edit it, we might have to tweak it, but we're not going to build something that we're immediately going to have to change. And really, like, that change can create a lot of turbulence for the team, right? So how do we keep, even if back end stuff is changing, how can we keep the day to day of the team that we're building fairly standard and uniform across the board, so they're not experiencing a lot of turbulence, which creates unsureness? And then that's when you start to have this turnover, right? People don't want to be in a negative culture. They don't want to be in a negative workplace. They don't want to be in a place with a lot of turbulence. There has been a lot of change as we've been spinning up the real estate brokerage. There's no doubt about that. And how can we minimize that? Now it's kind of like a rip off the Band-Aid moment, but going forward, how can we build our systems and our procedures in such a way where that doesn't have to continue being the normal standard? So that's just been a lot of great learning experience, a lot of, ebbs and flows as we've been, kind of going through the process. And the other thing is, when looking at building a team, I would say watch for culture killers. Whenever you come in with change, I remember this when my father-in-law actually bought Arlington Marble, and I watched this as I was an employee on the ground floor, and the employees that were there before I joined, I kind of came in with the understanding of the expectations that he was setting. But you also had a lot of people that were there before the expectation shift happened, before, he purchased his shop, that when he took over, a lot of people struggled with that change. Now, there were some people who struggled with the change, but ended up getting on board with the program. There were some people that struggled with the change, and they were dragging down the culture, and they ended up leaving. And in the short term, it was painful and it was hard. But in the long term, it created a lot of growth and success. And so that's honestly something that it's been really interesting to even face that challenge here as we're building out the brokerage, as there's just been different friction points and just different decisions that are made, really realizing like, okay, at the end of the day, for any new agents coming in or agents that are currently a part of what we built here, I genuinely want to bring people value. I mean, just yesterday when I was telling Libby, I was like, man, if I could earn, for example, $1 million out of the brokerage, I don't care about the money. I care about the value that I'm providing. To me, the money is just a way to measure value. But if I have a group of people who have collectively helped me and paid me $1 million, right? But they come to me like, oh my goodness, you are a godsend. You've totally changed my life for the better. Like, thank you so much. And they have with tears in their eyes and thankful hearts, they're giving me $1 million. That shows me that I was able to deliver value in one of the most important and special and tangible ways, because I was able to be a blessing on the way to my blessing. I was able to deliver so much value to them that they are overwhelmed with joy to hand that value right back to me. And so that's just like a satisfying feeling that I've been able to provide value in that way. And I give total glory to God. That is not me. I should stop and say that right now. Daily been praying for wisdom. My prayer a lot lately has been, Lord, would you give me favor among men like Joseph? Would you help me to be a blessing on the way to my blessing like David? And would you give me the wisdom of mind and mouth and action of Solomon? Now, that's not to say that Solomon stumbled. Was he always making the wisest decisions ever? No, but he was known for his wisdom that came from the Lord. So in those moments, I want to be like that. Was David always a blessing on the way to his blessing? Like, I don't think that, was it the oh man, is Solomon's mom Sheba? I may be incorrect on that, but I don't think her husband that David basically cheated on with her and then sent him off to battle to die. Like, that was not being a blessing on his way to the blessing. The moment that I think of though is when David was fleeing from King Saul, and he was in the wilderness. He was actually a part of oh my goodness. The name was just in my head, and then it fleed out of my mind. But he was with the Philistines. He was in the Philistines, kind of like territory. And one day when he was out on a raid, somebody came and raided him. And then, on his way to try to find where these people even went, he found this man who had been left behind. He was sick. He was dying. And David's men like basically cleaned him up, helped him up, gave him health, and then he was able to lead him on to regain his stuff. And then Joseph, right? Joseph was sent to prison. He was thrown into a pit. Did he always have favor among men? No, but he was able to operate again in that wisdom with that discernment and that favor of the hand of the Lord on him, and that is what gave him favor among men. All the way up to whenever he was second in command with Pharaoh. And so that's been my prayers a lot lately. Obviously, am I going to do everything perfectly? No, but every day I want to go into my days. How can I honor the Lord in what I do? How can I honor the Lord in how I build the team? How can I honor the Lord in how I lift the team up, but also hold a standard of, excellence? And we are going to operate in a place of excellence, but we're also not going to, pull each other down and chop each other up and stuff like that. So a lot of interesting things have happened. One of the biggest was just a main change in like ownership leadership, which I think in the long run will be a healthy change. And but I just think I don't want to go too much into it. But I just think I'm trying to go at this open-handed, saying, hey, I feel like this is where we're supposed to go. And we all just, everybody that's involved with the leadership and the ownership and everything like that has to be on the same page, or we're going to end up tearing apart, right? So at the end of the day, at some point, we have to be able to lay it out. This is what we're doing. This is where we're going. And we have to be able to be in unison around that. So for anything you're building, I'd encourage you, be of the same mindset, be equally yoked, make sure that everybody's definitely trying to move in the same direction. And then lastly, I would say with that team, kind of spirit, I've been trying to think of, especially as some of the people are making different transitions, my goal is to build anybody up on the team. And then whenever they feel that it's time for them to fly, I want them to be able to fly to the next level, right? So our hope is that as a brokerage, we can help lift people up to the next level. And then when they're, sitting here saying, okay, I think I've maybe outgrown this opportunity, I don't want to hold on to people and be like, oh, well, no, you have to stay or whatever. Like, I want people when they say, hey, I think it's time for me to go to my next level opportunity again, we can celebrate their success and we can celebrate them, going on to their next level, which is so incredibly exciting. Everything around here is how do we create opportunities for everyone to reach their fullest potentials? And if somebody feels like they've maximized their fullest of potentials here and they need to go somewhere else in order to go to that next level, we're all for that, right? And my side of the coin in that is how can I make it easy to succeed slash hard to fail at Ambition X real estate brokerage and personal goals and business goals and real estate goals, right? And if somebody feels like they can't reach their goals here, then I would highly encourage, go reach your goals somewhere else. So my goal is, always, can we provide the maximum amount of value to somebody? Now, I'm always working and striving to figure out how do we deliver more and more value, and I'm always trying to keep my door open to those conversations. How can we deliver more? How can we do better? How can we serve at a higher level our entire team? But at the end of the day, I also recognize that it might not be the right fit for everybody, and that's okay. I want the right people here that are pumped and amped about this opportunity, and they're wanting to leverage it and max it out because I can help those people leverage and max it out to the fullest potential. And somebody that's just going, I just don't know if this is the right opportunity for me, I say, hey, that's totally okay. Then in that case, go find that place where you can maximize your fullest potential. And I'll be excited for them as they go to do that. I'll be praying for their best as they go to do that and just be encouraging them as they go fly to their next level. And then honestly, whenever I'm seeing them hit those levels of achievement and what they're doing, I'll be cheering them on. Lots of times if people are posting on social media, I'll be cheering them on social media. Way to go, way to crush it. I'm so excited to see that continued growth path. So really trying to go into what we're building here with that mindset of we're a team. And we want to build the team up with people who are excited to be here, who see maximum opportunity and potential here. And then as people do make that transition to leave the team, how can we be excited and encourage them in that as they go fly to that even further next level opportunities? I think we can create a lot of those here, but at the same time, we just can't do everything, right? No one group, no one entity, no one company can serve everybody and every goal and every ambition. So we do our best to be broad, but at the end of the day, I have to recognize that unfortunately, I just can't create that high level value for everybody. It's just not possible, or you start doing too many different things, right? With that, I'll transition to like into what we're doing. I'll just be honest, as far as like real estate investments go, I don't know if I mentioned this last week. We've put a timeout on that. We do have one larger land deal that's on the market currently, and hoping that we can get that sold. It's Hudson. We have all the rest of our money in stocks, and I kind of have it hedged out with mostly stocks. I think we're going to see a run here, but we do have some plays in and around bonds, and so we actually just sold some puts deep into bonds, and the market's having a little bit of a pullback moment here, and our bonds are going up, which is increasing the value of the put that I sold on those bonds, which is pretty cool. And so basically what I've been doing on the chart is I've been marking at different VP levels and like support levels, resistance levels, basically marking, okay, here's zone 1, zone 2, zone 3 that I'd want to buy. Essentially, whenever it falls to zone 1, I'm trying to sell, basically an at the money put that's about 30 days out so I can soak up that premium. And then in my mind, it's like, okay, well, hey, zone 1 is already a place where I'm willing to buy. So if I buy it there, great. If the price ends up going back up before it closes, that's just fine too. I was able to make all the money on the premium that I was able to soak up. Zone 2 is a place that if I feel really confident about the level, I'll go ahead and buy. Or if I really want it, if I feel like I have a lot of cash, like when for example SPLG hit that zone 2, I went ahead and bought it because I had cash that I really needed to deploy, so I got it in there. But we're looking at ZROZ for ZROZ for our 25-year bond play. That's kind of what I'm going off of. It's the most sensitive to interest rate changes. I do think the interest rates will be going down, which will positively affect the price of those bonds. But I don't know if that's going to happen right away. So Zone two, my plan is we don't have a ton of extra cash to deploy right now. We've got lots of it put already out there in the market. So my plan is, okay, well, if it gets to that second zone, I'm going to go ahead and sell puts at the money again, right? And that's actually pulling back out of that trench. But if it has kind of a second leg down, like on a W, I'll sell those puts at that second level. Now, if it does hit the third level, which would be a super deep buy point, I would plan at that point to, even if I had to sell off some positions that were, on the plus side for the market, in order to buy a really deep pullback on the bonds, it would be a huge value play to be able to buy at that deep point. And so I already have an order in place there. And I would just basically, the way it works is like if bonds are down, typically stocks are up, vice versa. So I know that if it gets to that third level on the bonds, there's tons of money moving into stocks. SPLG will be up, and I can sell one of my lots to cover one of the lots to buy deep on zero. So max, I might end up with three lots. And three lots to me, it's 100 contracts on Z-Raws. That's kind of what we have right now. We've got it kind of diversified where we're buying probably about 6, 7 lots at about a $70 price point. That's kind of what we have allocated for the stock market right now. And then once we buy a lot, the reason I buy 100 at a time is because I can sell those puts. I can sell calls, but everything's covered, right? So I can sell covered calls. I can sell basically covered puts because I'm covering the puts with capital. I'm covering the calls with the position that I currently hold, and just trying to soak up extra premium over time. One of the mistakes that I made is I actually shorted gold, which I do think that gold's a little bit overvalued unless the market really starts to pull back deeply, then it might just go to crazy new levels. But right now it's definitely at a high point, even if you look at the channel that it's in. So it's either going to create a new shape and create a new trajectory, or it's going to end up, having a pullback here. But with that said, one of the mistakes that I made is when I've been selling covered calls, selling puts, I've been selling those 20 to 30 days out so I can soak up all the premium because there's tons of time decay on those options throughout the last 30 days that they have of their existence. But when I sold, I actually bought a put on gold in order to short gold, and I bought it when it had like 20 days left till expiration. And I regret that. If I could go back and redo that trade, I would have bought it with my the recommendation I had from the coaching I did with Andy Tanner and his group, whenever it comes to options, was having at least 60 to 90 days, somewhere in that range, 60 to 90 days of time left on the clock, or more. You do pay more for it. It's not quite as leveraged, but you have time to sit on it until it does whatever you need it to do. And I don't have a need necessarily to sell gold because I'm all the gold that I hold is physical. I don't hold as of right now, I don't hold any like, ETF gold. And so it just puts me in a position where I was like I had like a little over $100 of option income already made, realized gains. And so I just bought a $28 put, and I was like, well, worst case, at least $25 or 25% of the option income that I've generated over the last 2 weeks. Um, but I thought it was going to be a great experiment, and it was a great learning opportunity. I was like, dang it, I did learn that and I completely missed it. But I had it so small that I was like, I'm not really too stressed out about the loss, but I learned that for the future going forward. I also kind of learned that I was like, I don't really think I'm in a place, I'm in a place right now to take positions, to hedge my positions, but to actually be aware enough of the market to short. Like I've had couple of days now where like I had this game plan. The day's gotten so busy while the market's open. I don't even have time to get back to it until like 7 o'clock, well after the market's closed. I'm like, dang it, like I meant to short this. I meant to like the last yesterday, I meant to short Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin came down, and I meant to even cover my BITO position. And I didn't get the chance to do that while the market was open yesterday. It's like, dang it. So I want to make sure I don't stretch myself too thin. I do have to recognize what I have the time capacity to do, especially as we're building out the business. And so, anyways, the last thing that I'll say is as we roll out of March into April, we get here to the end of the week again, or the beginning of, I guess when this comes out, it'll be basically the beginning of the week, the last day of March. Make sure that as we go through 2025, that you are paying yourself first, right? So, whether you're paying down debt, I just met with a guy who had a 2-year plan to pay down his debt, and they were crossing that finish line yesterday. I was so excited and happy for him, right? I remember when I hit that point, or you're building up your investments or whatever you're doing, when those paychecks come in, make sure that you account for every dollar and make sure that a portion of those dollars is being allocated directly to investments and your financial future and growth. And then as you invest, make sure that you educate yourself, because the best way to minimize risk on investments is Education, right? It's not even necessarily diversification. It's education around the product that you're investing in. So really, really understand it well, understand what you're buying, understand why you're buying it, and you'll do much better than you would if you were to just blindly go out there and throw your money at something, right? So with all that said, it was awesome hanging out with you guys here for another week of the Wealthy Legacy Journey. Let's close out with our identity mantra, and then we'll close the episode. So I'll say it first. You guys say it after me. I explore the unknown. I conquer new frontiers. My journey is powerful, and my wake is a wealthy legacy. And as a reminder, guys, the way we define wealthy here at the Wealthy Legacy Journey is the ability to cover your monthly expenses without having to lift a finger. So over the last month, I've had a little over $100 of realized gains, and that was like one of my quarterly goals, and so it's like that's so exciting to hit that point with options, of just like some consistent income. I'm very excited that I'm getting close to getting that first dividend payout. It's the first Tuesday of every month. So it's either going to probably either be next Tuesday or the Tuesday after. I should get my first dividend payment on BITO, which will be somewhere around like $70 just off a dividend payment. So I'm excited about that. I'll get some small dividend payments quarterly off of the bond positions that I hold and off of the SPLG, the S&P 500 ETF that I hold. I'll get some small dividend payments quarterly off of that as well. So that'll all be great as it comes together. And that's how you build wealth, right? And legacy, the way we define that here is leaving a long-lasting impact on others who come after you as they receive the fruit of your labor. But they're going to receive that either way, whether your fruit be good or bad. So remember, if you want to leave good fruit behind for the world around you, plant good seeds, cultivate good trees, and that's how you bear good fruit. With all that said, guys, it's been awesome hanging out with y'all for another episode of the Wealthy Legacy Journey, and I will see y'all on the next episode. Bye, everybody.